Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. So thank you all for being uh, at the right time. As you know, we're gonna talk about taking care of the elderly. This is a web conference, and so the way we have um, planned this is just to incentivize discussion. So I'm gonna make a series of questions. I also have my presentation ready. And based on that, we're gonna have our discussion. Now, if you mind, I'm gonna take your names down so I can mark your attendance. So give me just 1 second, please.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna share my screen right now. Before I have to record this session, just so you know, guys. All right. So the topic is should taking care of your aging parents be mandatory? And for this, I'd like someone to please tell me your opinion. And we're gonna go deep down with this topic. However, it's also important to talk about the generalities and how is your opinion right now versus how will be when we're finished. So who'd like to start?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, my name is Alexander Espinosa. I belong to Ciudad Neiva. I live with
All
my
right.
family here in Garzon Huila. I was born in Neiva. Thanks for this opportunity to speak or to say my opinion, right?
Thank you.
Right. I consider um, uh, this question is not for every day. You know, should taking care of your aging parents be mandatory? Um, uh, in my opinion, should be mandatory because of maybe, for example, no, of course, when they were young, they gave the best of their life to take care of us, or maybe they work a lot and they have other chances to improve, or maybe they even have the potential. So we must give opportunities to to share and to take care of them. Of course, firstly, we must take care of them, and secondly, we must share with them.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a retribution. They take care of us. So
Our
at the end,
retribution, yeah, to share retribution.
that's nice. All right. So in general terms, you agree that there should be a law to make taking care of your parents be mandatory. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. We must take care of them.
All right. Thank you. That was very well explained. Now, I'd like to hear the opinion of Ruben. Please go ahead, Ruben.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Ruben de Ribetraga Gonzalez, and I'm from the small town of El Cerrito in El Valle del Cauca. And I think about this question, punctual question, that this is something that you must earn. Why? For example, in my case, my dad never answered for me. He never gave me anything. And I don't think I'm not agree. I want to be agree if I have to take care about him when he gets old. He has his own family today now. But in case of my mother, she did. She took care about me, and she has earned this privilege. So when she gets old, I'll take care of her in money concern, in time concern, in house, meals, etc. But I think that this is something that must be earned. And for example, my dad once ago talked to me about a law. I don't remember the number of the law, but when he gets old, he can demand me for taking care about him. If he doesn't have a retirement money, for example, I don't remember the correct term in English for that, but if he can't get a retirement money for that, I have to take care for him. So this is why I had to demand him. I demanded him because I must demonstrate that he never took care about me as a son. And in this case, he hasn't earned this right to be took care about me. So I think this question is of discussion in every case, in every distinct case. For example, any of us may have different stories with their parents. Okay, so I
Mhm.
think that this must be something that you earn in your life. That's my
All right.
opinion.
Thank you. Well, you're talking about that if this happens, it has to be earned. Would you mind to
Yes.
explain how would that be earned?
By what I said, if your parent took care about you, yes,
Mm,
he answered for his duties or her duties, of course. You have the right. It is mandatory for you to take
mm,
care about him or her. But if he didn't, if he never respond for your childhood, for your meals, for time, for love, dedicating your enough time, calling you, visiting you, if he or she never did that, why you should or you must take care about him or her? No, I don't know. Take care of yourself how you could, but you never did it with me.
mm,
I know. Some of you will be disagree with me. Oh, come on, it's your parent, it's your father, it's your mother. You must. But I think
mm,
that this is something that must be earned, as I told you. Is a question of the correctness. Okay,
mhm.
if you earn that if you make that bond with your son, with your child, they will take care about you in not like a mandatory thing. They will do because it grows in their hearts, because it is deep in their hearts to do it for you. It is not
Mhm.
something that must be mandatory, but something that burns from itself, from yourself.
All right. Thank you. That was very well explained. Now let's go ahead and see. Elvis, what do you think about what was just said about it has to be earned and there must be consideration of some special cases.
Well, hello everyone. It's very nice to be here with you talking about this overwhelming topic. Now that you know that all of us, are going to get old eventually. So I think that the word mandatory is a little like harsh for me because you know that when we say that it's like we are telling young people that they can just relax in their young in their because when they are old their children are going to take care of them. So I think that we have to be careful with that because now we are in charge of getting old. So how are we going to get old? I know that we have to take care of our parents, of our aging parents, of course, but not because it's mandatory. It's because it's our parents or things like that. But I'm thinking here about the economical
Mm,
status or the money because I I have my mother, for example, and she was not raised by my grandmother. She was raised by another lady who was my actual grandmother. I call her grandmother. I don't know my real grandmother. Now she's getting old, and she is suing her children because she does not have anything like she has not have a place to live or things like that. So I think that when we say that it's going to be mandatory, like I don't prefer that word because everyone has to take care about the process of getting old. So you know that our parents they didn't went to school or maybe they did another job or things like that. But now the time is changing, and I think that if we have to take care of the elderly people, I think we have to uh, um, teach young people how they are going to get old so that this not happen, because I can see that I love elderly people. I mean, I love, in fact, my sister, she has a folk house where she has a bunch of grandparents taking care of them. But I think that personally, you are the one that build your future. So if you are going to get old and you are going to have nothing when you are old, it's because it's your fault. But I think it's important taking care about the health, for example, because you know that when they are getting old, they start to have difficulties in the movement, for example, or doing some paperwork or things like that. So I say, to conclude, that it's important to take care of elderly, but I think that it's not that I want to erase the word mandatory, because you are a human being and you are the one that solve how are you going to get old, not your children, not your family. It's just you. So sorry about the people that maybe are taking care of their family or their grandpas, but yes, maybe it's because those were the times they live in. But now we have to change. So we have to tell the people that is not mandatory, because everyone has the ability to solve their own problems. Thank you.
All right. That was very good. Thank you. Now, let's see if we have time for another person. Um, of you guys, those who haven't spoken yet, who would like to give us your opinion?
Hello, everybody. My name is Alejandro Hernandez. You have strong reasons, as I consider it's the way we take care of each others when we was a child, get get love. So I think it's the rewards what they did for us. Also, I think it's the duty that we have as a society. That's it.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we have rescued some very good things about this first question. We have talked about that, well, the aging parents have some disabilities that need to be recognized. There are also some special cases where it needs to be earned. For example, did that your parent did the same for you, or it wasn't like that? Or also we talk about the economics and how should that relate to this topic. So let's continue with our first actual question that we need to have in order to go deep down into this topic. So who do you think are the actors involved? And let's just try to focus besides on the aging parents and the offspring. I want you to tell me, maybe you want to talk about the government, about the police, about some lawyers. Think about that for a moment and tell me what are the actors that are involved if this was a law, if this was ruled by our government. So let's start with, give me 1 second. Ruben, please go ahead.
Okay. Who must rule this? You say? Who must rule this? Who do you think? Actors. Okay. I think that yes, government should rule this. Who government should create the rules to rule this, because many people tend to forget their elders. Many people just throw them down into a retirement asylum, to retirement castle, and go away. If I saw you, I don't know you. And no, I'm not totally agree with this. Taking in mind my previous arguments about the first question, I think that if my dad would need help of myself one day, of course I will help him in the ways that I could do that. The actors that must be involved in this, as I said, government should be ruled, should create the laws to enroll this, and no, sorry, that's the wrong word. Government should create the rules and the laws. And also the small government part, for example, the mayors or the councils, all of them should rule this because other people will may some people may agree and some may not. Okay, and trying to balance the arguments of these people sometimes is hard, sometimes it's difficult. I have lived and I have saw this I forgot the English word of that again. Places where you argue with people, with lawyers and judges. I don't
Mm.
remember the word for that, but in those places in every town, all day live this every day, and they discuss about this. Hey, this is your father too, why don't you take care about him? Hey, but I'm sending you money, for example. Other cases that I have noticed is when for example, one children one of the child go to the foreign, lives abroad, and just by sending money, he or she thinks that he or she is solving everything. Hey, I send you $100 every month. I send you $200 a month, and I have nothing to see anymore. You have to take care of her or she, of my dad or my grandma who is in Colombia still, who is still in Colombia, and I don't care. I send you money. And as all my other mates said, money isn't everything in the taking care of a person. Love, time is necessary too.
Mm.
Feeding, of course, sharing the time with the person is also important. So I think that government should rule this because in this way, you can bond the people to accomplish their duty. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Now, when I talk about actors, you did very good. It's necessary not only to think about concrete actors, persons, organizations, but there are also
Thank you.
abstractions like time. You said money. That was very good. So thank you. Now let's go ahead with Elvis. What do you think are the actors involved if there was a rule about this?
Well, if there was a rule about taking care of elderly,
Mhm.
I think the main actors would be like family, like sons and daughters and nieces and excuse me, and grandchildren, because I think that is important to show them that we appreciate them and to show them belongingness or things like that, because
Mhm.
that is a part of a family. That is a rule of a family, uh, respecting them and things like that. But I think that another actor that would be involved there, talking about the economical situation, would be like the government and institutions that are going to take care of elderly people, because
Mhm.
when they get old, they start to suffer of different disease and illnesses that we are
Mhm.
not possible to take care of. So for that reason, I think that the rules would be for institutions like uh, I don't know how to say gerontología. Those people, they have to create a lot of places, and the
Mhm.
government must provide for them, because maybe there are families that they are capable of paying for that care, but maybe there are poor families, and that is a problem in Colombia society, a social problem that we have about economics. So I think the government must be the principal actor over here, creating institutions of charity institutions that can take care of the health of elderly, because if they are going to say that is mandatory for us, maybe the money, but what about the health, and what about the cares that they need,
Mhm.
because maybe the disease are going to be mental problems that you don't know how to handle those kind of situations, or maybe it's a problem that is in the organism that you don't have to control, you don't know how to control that. So I think that the mandatory, like the rules, must be implied by a government and institutions and a budget, so that we can have control of the elderly.
All right. Thank you. Now you also mentioned the elderly care centers. Do you think they will be negatively impacted if there were such a rule?
Well, if I think if they receive the proper budget, I think it's not gonna be negative. But if they say, come on, you have your private institution and you have to take care of these elderly people, I don't know how are you going to handle it. I think that's going to be negative. But maybe if the government start to give like a budget to every place, you know that there are like private places to take care of all the elderly, but they are public places that are supplied by the government. So I think they can be very careful how they distribute the budget for every institution. And I think it's going to be a problem that can have actors, because the family can just go there and visit them and taking care in the emotional aspect, but then the government is helping with the economics or also the health that is very important in this kind of population of excuse me, of human beings.
All right, thank you. Now let's go ahead with, give me 1 second. Alejandro Espinosa, please tell us what do you think about this?
Well, what do I think the actors involved? Firstly, I consider family is pretty significant in this case because, okay, as I told you before, they they gave the best when they were young, and even they are still giving financial support to some families, as our partner mentioned before. So I consider first family, second the
Mhm.
government. Of course, maybe some of them have some special older people's associations that contribute to societies or giving advices. Maybe we must acknowledge them, giving some opportunities. Maybe, for example, practicing sports or something like, for example, you can see, or I know it's something special programming, for example, Income Familiar Willa, they have a special program for them. So
Mm.
maybe first family, second government. Almost course in the family we must retribute them with time, with speaking with them. Okay,
Mhm.
as I told you, they are still giving financial support on families, financial assistance. They take care for grandchildren. They are important. Maybe when even for example when one in family is gonna be born, they are special for taking care of our newborns, for instance.
All right, thank you. Now, I think we can continue with the conceptualization itself. If we're talking about taking care, well, what is taking care? And I'm asking here, to what extent should taking care be? For example, it is only paying for your parents, or do you always need to be with them? And I like to have the opinion for this from Claudia de la Osa. Claudia, please go ahead. You need to unmute your microphone. Okay, Claudia is not here. How about Claudia Flores?
In Colombia, good morning, everyone. In Colombia, it's mandatory to help to our parents. Okay, but for every rules there are exceptions because there are absent parents. Uh, I think that this is the case more representative for to have one exception because um, it's incredible. One parent said, "You have obligation with me when you never uh,
Mm.
mm, was with me. It's exceptions. Mm, uh, but in Colombia, this is exception is it discussed at the moment. Yes.
Mm. But let's try to imagine that you were involved in processing the rule of taking care of your elderly parents. How would you assume that taking care is? Is it only giving money to your parents, or is it accompany them all the time?
For money, I think that the money is no excuse for don't respond for the parents. You know, the parents when uh, never said I don't have money buy, okay, and the money is no excuse. Um, the families in Colombia we need understand is necessary join for um, help to our parents.
All right, thank you. Now let's go ahead and I want to hear Alejandro Hernandez Abril. Please go ahead.
I think a bug concept is really important, but I concerned before slide. Mm, I don't have two rules that force me to do it. And I think it's something that must be raised in in our families. Is the care of your parents. So um, I think not discussion about it. So the pay for your parents is really important because you pay for something special, careful, and the other hands, it's really important support on your families, and we need be with them.
All right, thank you. Give me 1 second. I have here. All right. Well, Alexander Espinosa, I'd like to hear from you.
Sorry. Okay. Good. Mm, of course, money is pretty important because if we have money, we can buy good medicines, and when we get good medicines, you can improve your health. Okay, it's not the same if you buy something cheap, but you can buy expensive medications. You're gonna feel better, and of course, a well-balanced life, um, giving them the opportunity to speak and share with family. But it's not is I think it's impossible to be with them the whole time because of course we are working or we must take care of our own families, but we can share the time with them. Some of them can pay attention, for example, some grandson can pay attention to them, or maybe some part of the family can share with them, okay, speak with them. Okay, so many, mm, there are many things we can do with them. We must share the time with them, okay, distribute in family the time with them.
All right. So we can all agree that taking care of someone, not only just elderly people, is a very wide term. Or does anyone disagree with that? All right.
Can you repeat the question? Excuse me, teacher.
Is taking care a very wide concept? Does it mean many things, or should it be more specific? Taking care. What is taking care?
Well, I think it's a wide concept because taking care, you can talk about money, you can talk about the the person, the emotions, like the physical care that you have to take when someone is ill. So I think that this word and talking about elderly, it can involve a lot of topics like money, health, uh, uh, and such. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, I agree with that.
That's good. Yeah, money, medicine, spending time with them, um, and so on. So I wanted to set a foot in that because we're talking about taking care, but we should uh, put some restrictions on what is actually taking care of someone. So let's imagine if we live in a country or in a world where we have this rule. How should lawbreakers be prosecuted? So let's imagine we already have that rule, and taking care of our aging parents is mandatory. So, of course, as it is a law, there must be some lawbreakers. So, we're gonna talk about right now how should lawbreakers be prosecuted. And for this, I'd like to hear Ruben.
Okay, well, and prosecuting someone can be very difficult when you demand somebody. Laws sometimes tend to say, "Hey, we cannot find him or her." But what happens when you owe something, some amount of money to an entity? For example, a bank, a credit card, a credit card company. What happens when you owe them money? They will prosecute you in all their resources available, and they will do everything so you pay them. They will make the same everything that is in their hands to make you pay. So I think that in the same way, with the same resources, the lawbreakers should be prosecuted by the system: credit cards, debit
Mm.
cards, bank accounts, phones, etc. With every account that a lawbreaker has, you can ask for them, hey, you owe your money for your parent, for your father, your mother, etc. What's happened? And for example, many people get a salary from a big company, and when you owe money, as I told you, this company can demand you, and they can embargo your I forgot again the English word for that, and they can restrict a part of your money. They can take apart a small bunch of your salary, so they pay your bills. You are obligated to do that. It is not a matter of you want or you don't want. No, you must. So in this same way, I think that government should uh, take you take you a small part of your salary so you can
Mm.
respond for your parent or your father. But I think that it is a bit more difficult to obligate you to share your time or your spare time with your parent, with your mother or etc. or grandmother even. I think that this is more difficult to do to a company, but well, it's not impossible. I think that you can make pressure by police, by law, by money, and so on. I think this could be in this way.
All right, thank you, Ruben. Now, from this, I'd like to hear. Uh, Give me 1 second. Yes, Alexander. Alexander, you were one of the people who seem to agree with the policy. So, how should lawbreakers be prosecuted? Alexander Espinosa, please go ahead.
Excuse me, my microphone was unmuted.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not sure about the question. Maybe when we speak about lawbreaker, we are speaking about, for example, rebels or something like that. Maybe robbers or something like that.
So imagine that we live in a country where we have the rule that we have to take care of our aging parents. If that is a rule, there must be some people who don't agree to that rule. Should they be sent to jail, or as Ruben was saying, should there be some restrictions on their credit cards and so on?
Of course, I consider our laws must be strict with them because I consider the majority of us are good people. We deserve many chances in life to improve, to study, to train. So when there are people like them, is something is not something good for our society. So is they it must be a special law
Mhm.
to they go not only to go to the jail but also to receive trainings to improve them and they can give something to our society. I consider it's important. Maybe when they turn that way is because maybe we don't know how were they in their childhood, right?
Mhm. So are there some instances where you think people should go to jail?
Yeah, yeah, but they must receive opportunities even over there.
How would that be?
Well, for example, maybe I know that, for example, Servicio Nacional de Aprendizaje is giving opportunities to
Mm.
train and work. And for instance, some of them are creative. They can practice in a special workshop or something like that. Maybe if you install workshops in jails, if you give opportunities to practice physical education, it's not only to go in a place and to be between four walls. It's good to have chances to study, to improve, to share with people, to express opinions, okay? And they can improve little by little.
All right. Thank you. Now, who here thinks also that if we live in such a world, people who break that law should go to jail? Is there anyone here who think that?
I think that yes, people still will still break this rule. Example: murdering is forbidden, and there are still people who murders, who
Mhm.
kills. Robbing is illegal, and there are people who robs in buses, on the streets, etc. So I think that yes, no matter how hard the rules are, people will will
Mhm.
break them, no matter how hard or mandatory or the consequences would be. People will still doing that. I think that, as Alexander was saying, this is a matter of education. This is a matter of educated people
Mhm.
in showing them how important taking care of the elder is important, because one day you will get elder too. One day you will be old, your bones will ache, your heart will fail, your brain won't be the same, and your muscles will lose strength. And thinking in that. So I think that this, as Alexander said, is a matter of education, of training, and being aware of about our future status.
Okay, thank you. Now, how about you, Elvis? Do you think is this a crime big enough to have a reason to go to jail?
Well, I totally disagree with this because, first of all, going to jail because breaking this law would be not fair for me. Let's consider the economical situation of Colombia. There are a lot of people that they work, they don't have a profession, they work day by day to make ends meet, So they are in the street just with a non-official work, getting the money. So why, if they don't have money to take care of their parents, or maybe they don't have the time to go and take care of them, why do they go to prison? This is going to be a very, very big problem because the jails are going to be full. And nowadays jails are full here in Colombia. So can you imagine? because we know that maybe 1 month we are not going to pay the alimony for our parents, or maybe 1 month we cannot be able to visit them. So for that reason, going to jail, I think that is going to be a bigger problem for our society, because jails are full of criminals, but also they are full of innocent people sometimes. So just adding more fuel to the fire, that wouldn't be right. So I totally disagree when you say that um, lawbreakers should be sent to jail. I think that I can agree when maybe when maybe you seize part of their earnings.
Mhm.
When they remove one part of the earnings, like an economical help. But then going to jail, I think that would be crazy for this society, because we have to consider who goes to jail and who can have like a trial, like I don't know, maybe something to discuss and get to a solution. But going to jail, I think, is off the table for me.
All right. Ruben, would you like to respond to that?
Yes, I agree with him. Jails will be full. They are already full. They are already filled with people innocent sometimes. And yes, as I said, this is a matter of education more than punishment.
Mm. All right, that's good. Now let's continue. So, also thinking about we live in a country. Let's imagine it's Colombia, and we have that rule. Um, let's imagine also you are some of the people involved in creating this law. So, of course, if we're talking about that law, there should be some monitoring. So, who will monitor people and how? And for this, I'd like to have um, Claudia. Claudia, please go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, the case is very difficult because I I have so many cases where the information is not correct with the reality. Yes,
Mhm.
the camera is a good option, but it's necessary to have every information for every case in particular. When we are working, many people say things incorrect about uh, any person. Yes, and, and I think it is necessary to have people where uh, don't have interesting for any parts. And in the government there are uh, mm, persons who analyze every case.
Mhm.
It is better if there use a monitor to be.
All right, thank you. Now, Alexander, uh, how would you monitor and make sure that people are committing to this rule?
Well, the question would be, is it really necessary to be monitored? Because if we are interested in improving in our society is, I think, is not necessary to be monitored. Well, um, unfortunately, nowadays it's necessary to be monitored because some people don't do the things well or something like that. Uh, to be monitored, no, maybe by doing some health questions or something like that to follow a process in order to improve our society. Yeah, it's not necessary to be monitored. It's just to follow a health process, something like maybe like physical education or maybe health programs. But I think it to be monitored, no, I don't consider that. Sorry.
All right, that's good. So, let's talk about also the benefits. So, what are the benefits to the caterers and the beneficiaries if we had that rule? And for that, I'd like to have Alejandro Hernandez to please talk us about it.
Well, as advantage to care our parents, I think we have to society more healthy, and we can build a good society in the future.
Mhm. Okay. Well, who here strongly believes that there are more benefits than concerns about this rule?
Well, I consider there are more benefits because, okay, we when we live in a health society with good health, in a society with good health, so everybody is smiling, everybody is having fun, and if we notice that we are taking care of elderly people, we okay, it's an advanced society. I think it's an advanced society. We are taking care of them, we are taking care of children, and of course there are many benefits because if they are still giving support to some families, even financial support, it's better to take care of them, and we are going to be the beneficiaries.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be the beneficiary because is our family is, as I told you before, they are still providing family support. Uh, One of the most important thing is that they bring family together. It's something that I noticed when I have my grandmother alive, and they are not right here. They are not now, and now the family is not together like they tend to be before.
All right. So, now let's talk about also the word of appropriacy. Do you think the word of appropriacy will diminish the role of the government, payments, and social benefits such as healthcare, as compared to the world where such a policy wouldn't exist? And this goes very similar to what Alexander was just saying. So we will live in advanced society, but that society will mean that we're living in a place where the government doesn't have as much as control, but the people has the control over here. And for this, I'd like to have Elvis to please answer this question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so if I think the world of a policy would diminish the role of the government. Well, I think if there is a rule, a mandatory rule in which families have to take care about the elderly, I think this is gonna diminish the role of a government in payments, in social benefits, like the healthcare, because they are going to say, okay, so now we don't have to give budget to that because the families are taking care of elderly. So I think in that way, it's gonna the government is gonna like. Lose contact with those issues, like until they are just free of that, and the problem goes to the families. So I think that maybe is something necessary to take care of elderly, but now that we live in a society. If the society takes care of children, why don't they take care of elderly, an important group in a society as well. So I think that this is gonna be very serious issue to discuss about, because the when you make rules, it's not like a 50-50. It's always someone is going to win. So I think that this rule is going to make the government just clean their hands, getting off
Mm.
the responsibilities that they have, and I consider that that cannot happen, because we live in a society in which we have to take care of ourselves to make ends meet. This is no like a country, like a rich country, to have these kind of issues to discuss. But I think that is a very wide topic.
All right, thank you. That was very well expressed, and that's right. If we put into forward that rule, well, the government shouldn't have as much responsibility as the people have right now. If we live in such a world. Now, who should be held as more responsible to taking care of the elderly? The government or the people? When I talk about the people, I mean the offspring, the child, the children of those parents that are aging. And for this, I'd like to have Ruben to answer this question.
I think that people is the responsible in here. The responsibility must lie upon the shoulders of the people, because people is who raised who has grown up with the persons in charge. And of course, the government must play a role here, a vital role here in surveilling the accomplishment of this. But I think that people must take care of their duty. They must be in charge of that, because it's their responsibility, it's their family, it's our duty. In my case, my mother will be my duty when she won't be able to respond by herself. So it will be my duty. But because it's a matter of moral, and it is a matter of not only laws, it is a matter of love of a company, and not only money. And money will not only fulfill the needs of her. So I think yes, I as a people, as a person, must be in care of that person. But yes, uh, government must monitor this too, because people tend to go in the easy way.
Mm-hmm.
I pay you this amount of money, and nothing more, as being it was discussed in the previous questions. And yes, people is who must be in charge.
Okay, Elvis, what do you think?
Well, I I would like to consider that people can take care of elderly, but let's be real. When you get old, you start to have a lot of issues, mental problems, physical problems. Your organism is not working the same it worked when you were younger. So we people, we are not doctors. I mean, maybe if you are a son that study medicine, you can take care of your parent, of your old parent, because we are talking about the elderly people, and you know the conditions of those people. So yes, it's true that people, the family must take care with the emotions, show them that we appreciate them. But there are places, there are parts in which we cannot do anything. I'm talking because sometimes I work as a volunteer in my sister's business with that she work with elderly people, and it's impossible. I know families that, for example, daughters that they take care of their sick mother, and they get even sicker than the mother because they don't know how to handle that situation. They start to, in fact, they start to get like depressed. They start to have also mental problems because they don't know how to handle those kind of situations. So I think that yes, we have a responsibility because it's our loved ones, But then, when we don't know how to take care of those conditions, I think the government is the one that has to have the more that has to be, excuse me, the more responsible. Because to be honest with you, we are not doctors. We don't know how to handle that kind of situation. We can give love, we can give money, of course. But what about the health of the elderly? And they are and it is not up to us, like, oh no, don't worry, my mother is going to be a healthy person all her life. No, eventually that is going to happen with all of us. We are going to, I don't want to say crazy, because that is not the illness, the name of the illness, but we are going to have those mental conditions that we are not going to be able to take care of ourselves. So imagine our children taking care of that condition. No, it has to be someone that has the real knowledge about how to handle a mental problem, a physical condition, a disease, or something like that. So I think, yes, people must take care of them in some ways, but the most responsibility should go for the government, because they have to provide the health care and maybe a budget if maybe the elderly they didn't receive like an earning in their life.
Mhm.
So that is my opinion, because it's not about moral, it's not about that, because excuse me, it's not about the moral, because yes, you can love your people, and you are not a doctor to know how can you help them. So that is my opinion.
All right. Who here agrees with Elvis? The government should be held as more responsible.
In my case, I disagree. Well, I think, in my opinion, that uh, firstly, we must worry about our work right now. If we get a good work since we are young, we pay constantly our health, our pension, our social security. We are gonna we are gonna be better when we are gonna turn maybe 60 years old or 70 years old. It's something good for us because if we are gonna wait government support, we are gonna be still waiting for that. So it's a reality. So I think we must, for example, think about older people's association. We can go creating something like that. For example, some people create foundations. We must believe in some associations to improve our quality of life, to get a well balanced life. And I think older people can contribute to societies, giving advices, or for instance, when we don't have enough time for taking care of them, we must uh, share responsibilities in our family. Okay,
Mhm.
maybe some part of the family can give financial support, and other parts of the family can give a special assistance. Okay, face to face with them.
All right. Okay, now we're about to finish this
Yes,
session.
I was
Y-
about to say something.
yes, please go ahead.
No, just a little, just little. As always said in other moments, that economical situation is very important to discuss this. My uncle lives in Sweden, where people tend to throw elderly into retirement asylums because they can pay it. Economical situation is in Sweden is quite different than Colombian situation, and they throw away the elderly into retirement asylums and say you goodbye. And these people tend to miss their family. They need to share their time with
Hmm.
their offspring, their grandchildren, their sons, and this cannot be supplied by a government. Okay, I mean, government can pay you bills, can have appropriate places to hold you, to have you and take care about you, but you still need your family. You still need to share time with them, and this is another important fact to take in mind. And sorry, Claudia, I know that you was about to speak. Sorry.
Okay, Claudia, please go ahead.
Yes, I would like to say something about. I disagree. I think the government should provide only a basic level support that sufficient for elderly people without family.
Mhm.
Um, and I think uh, I am very conservative. I believe regarding this issue. I believe that it's the family who should take care of the elders. In the case where no family exists, so then can be a religious organization and charity. And but it's the family who should take care of elder people and provide the basic attention and of love for the older people.
Okay, just to finish, who here also thinks that the government should be more responsible in this situation as opposed to the people? All right. Well, that was a very enlightening experience, guys. I appreciate your attendance, and it was really good. Um, I don't know if anyone would like to finish with something to say.
I just wanted to say that share time with the family. Everyone wants.
Okay, thank you. Okay, guys. Well, this is the end of our web conference. It was actually a discussion. I appreciate your attendance, and I hope you have a nice day. I'll see you next one. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
mates.
Thanks a lot,
Take care and
partners.
have a nice weekend.
Have a super day.
Thank
Good
you.
day, you
Bye bye,
all.
everyone.